We have a quorum.
Yes, ma'am.
It is Commissioner Dale's turn to do the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation, so please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please pray with us. Dear Heavenly Father, be with us today as we go about the duties of the city, and be with our new coming out mayor and give him the wisdom to take us for another year. And we please be with our present mayor that's stepping down, and giving him thanks and comfort for what he's done for us throughout this city. Also, dear Lord, I'd like to bring up something that I bring up every time, and I normally ask that you be with our first responders and our military, and I'd like you to today to especially be with the 7 police officers that have been killed this year already. Be with their families and give them comfort. And let's try to figure out a way that they don't become targets, and be with them safely every day as they go about their business. In this I pray, amen.
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 Item 3. We'll say 3, because we've moved 3 up to 2 and 2 to 3 now.
Are we confused?
We're confused, but that's okay. I'm trying to help you along here.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do this?
Yeah.
Or do you want to?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, item 3 now, 3A.
3.
Reorganization of the Board of City Commissioners. And this slate of 7 items is consistent with the what's required once a year by the City Commission. So we'll start at the top and work our way down. At the end, there will be a reception, short break to congratulate the new mayor, vice mayor, and governing body, and to thank the outgoing mayor.
So first up is comments from myself. It's been a busy year during my time as mayor here in Garden City. I'd like to thank my fellow commissioners for your dedication and hard work to make Garden City a better community. I'd also like to acknowledge and give credit to all of our outstanding city staff and the high quality of service that they each provide our community daily to make Garden City the best community in the state. This last year, we focused on starting the implementation of the sales tax initiatives, encouraging retail and industrial development, expanding the Garden City Regional Airport, strategically addressing regional water quality and quantity, continuing to evaluate housing opportunities, diversifying the city's energy portfolio, and working to protect city customers from electric market fluctuations, and seeking opportunities for beautification as a way to enhance community pride. I'd like to thank the community for its support, and I look forward to continue to move Garden City in a positive direction as a commissioner. My family has been so supportive of me in all that I do, and especially since I began public service, and in particular being mayor of this great community. I want to thank my wife, Julie, and our children, Colby and Brady, for giving their support to me and giving up their precious time so I could serve in this leadership role in our community. They are my rock. Thank you. We'll continue to grow. We will prosper as a community, and we will continue to move forward on making Garden City a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Our community is strong, and the future is bright. It is a great day to be in Garden City. Thank you. All right. Selection of the chairperson to the board, who shall assume the duties and title of mayor. Do I entertain a motion
Mr.
For-
Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry if you're
No.
done. Mr. Mayor, it's my honor to nominate Dan Fankhauser as the next mayor.
There's been a nomination or a move to make Commissioner Fankhauser as mayor. Is there a second on that? Any other discussion on that second, on that item? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And our new mayor is now Mayor, Dan Fankhauser.
And this item is the presentation of recognition award to the previous year's mayor and the passing of the traditional gavel to the newly selected mayor.
I'd like to present this to Mayor Cessna for a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you. And on behalf of the outgoing mayor, I present to you the gavel, and I hope you do a very good job in moving our community forward.
Thank you. All right.
Congratulations.
That was another way to do it.
Now look, everybody.
Don't do that with the law enforcement guy.
Yeah.
Active shooter.
All right, let's move this stuff.
Well, we'll do it right after we,
All right, let's do it later.
yeah.
Well, first I'd like to thank Mayor Cessna for guiding this commission this past year, and also the staff for their hard work and expertise, and led by award-winning Matt Allen. I'd like to thank my wife, Vivian, who's here, for her support on my journey here, and also to point out that Vivian has done a lot with public art, and all of the sculptures that you see around Garden City, she's been involved in every one of them that has been on public property. So I appreciate that. Also, I'd like to thank my brother, Dick Fankhauser, who's here. And he's not only my business partner, but also he's a past city commissioner. This is my second term as mayor and my 8th year on the commission. And for those of you that do not know me, I've called Garden City home for the past 70 years. I attended public schools here, moved back to Garden City after college, raised my family here, and invested in Garden City. One of the main reasons I became a city commissioner was to help maintain a strong future for our growing city and to give back to this community that has been so good to our family through the years. I'm looking forward to 2019 with the help of my fellow commissioners and city staff, and we hope to make Garden City's future even better than today. We have several projects, and Mayor Cessna commented on some of these, that we'll be developing in 2019. The Star Bond project and the World Sports Complex hopefully will be starting sometime in 2019. The airport replacement project, we hope there'll be some movement on that during 2019. And of course, the sales tax finance projects, which include the zoo, Jenny Barker, the shooting range, and also the East Side Fire Station. There are several new housing developments within the city, and I want to see downtown development continue to grow. So it's going to be an exciting year and one that I'm looking forward to. I have seen Garden City grow to over 30,000 people and expand our city limits several times. My goal is to see the expansion continue through maintaining our safe hometown atmosphere. One thing that I'm going to try to do this year is visit as many businesses as I can in Garden City and just thank them for being a part of our city. Sometimes we take that for granted and we're always looking for new businesses, but we don't want to forget about those that have been here, some for 50 years. Just remember that Garden City is the regional center of Western Kansas. Thank you for this opportunity to be your mayor for 2019. All right. Next item.
And Mayor, we're ready for 3.4, which is the selection of a vice chairperson who shall assume the duties and title of vice mayor and serve as the chairperson in the absence of the mayor.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion for a vice chairman.
Mayor, I move that we select Troy Unruh as the vice chairperson.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we select Troy Unruh as our vice chairman. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Congratulations.
You have a speech or anything?
No, I'm sorry.
No speeches. Okay.
today. I'll let you off easy.
All right. Next item.
Item 3.5, the governing body is asked to consider the personnel authorized to be seated at the commission bench. Statute provides the members of the governing body, the city clerk of the city commission, and any other persons authorized by unanimous vote of the commission members. Past practice would be that the city attorney and the city clerk be authorized to join the commission at the bench.
I'd entertain a motion to, regarding the personnel authorized to be seated at the commission bench.
I move that we authorize the city attorney and city clerk to be seated at the commission bench.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Dale seconded. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I guess you're seated. All right, the next item is designation of the official city newspaper. I'd like to entertain a motion to designate the official newspaper as per provided by the state statute.
I'll make a motion we designate Garden City Telegram as the official newspaper for Garden City.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. All those in favor of that motion to designate Garden City Telegram as our official newspaper signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, I guess we'll take a short break in the other room for a little cake. And we'll break now for what, 15 minutes or so?
I think about 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Yeah.
Anybody want seconds?
You're going to have to take a few pictures. We'll reconvene, how about at 1:45?
1:45.
Okay.
All right.
And everybody is welcome to join us across the hall.
Let's just move forward.
Congratulations.
Hey, thanks.
Congratulations.
That's good. All right, buddy.
take nationals. I said, well, that's the only way you're, I said, we're not paying for it, so I don't know how you're going to, but I said, that's the way you're paying for it. 'cause-
Behind the copy, Joe.
This thing is a little bit short. I gotta raise this up.
Why do you have to hide them? You're just trying to figure out how to put yours down. Why don't you guys do this way?
Lucy Linda's getting.
You wanna trade?
You want to trade?
Might be easier than trying the hydraulics.
I see us up here going like this. It's like,
You pull 11.
Is there any more across the?
I can, here.
This
I should have done that.
This, I think this one is the one that keeps going down all the time.
I need to adjust my desk space here.
Right? I need it as
There we
high
go.
as I can get it.
Okay.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah,
Keep
this-
my
yeah,
mouth
if someone
shut.
makes it, it's gonna keep you, it'll stand you up on your head.
What? The
People.
coffee?
Well, that's she makes it, yeah.
Figure them
Oh,
picking
yeah, it's
them.
like basically like.
Like stand a spoon in,
chocolate milk.
yeah, stand a spoon in it.
Troy, was that your daughter? Who is it?
Oh, that's my wife,
That was his
Brenda.
wife.
Was it?
I'm gonna tell her that too.
Yeah, there you
She'll
go.
love that.
You know, we're live on air right now.
I'm gonna totally tell her that. She'll love that. No, my daughters would be so loud that you'd be going like,
I think
hello?
I was.
Yeah.
All right, we've got 1 minute here.
God be with us.
Boy, you're just full of comments today. Mayor. All right. We'll call the meeting back to order here, and we need approval of the minutes, or I guess they'll be approved as submitted unless anybody has any changes. Any
Nope,
changes?
They look good.
Okay, those are the January 8th, 2019. Okay, at this time, we've allowed up to 30 minutes for public comment. We just want you to limit your time to 5 minutes and state your name. Is there anybody in the audience? These are items that are not on the agenda. Okay,
Mayor and Commissioners, there's no
Item 6.
petitions, memorials, and remonstrances, which I don't ever remember that happening. So we're ready for the report of the city manager, and item A is going to be a presentation by Assistant City Manager Cunningham on the Big Get Cool input process.
all right.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. I wanted to come before you today and kind of update you on where we're at. Just a quick spoiler, you're not going to see the presentation that I'm doing right now, or the video or any of the fun stuff. So that will come later. So many changes had been made to the actual process itself since I talked to you last time, and so I kind of just wanted to update on where I'm at, what I'm doing, yeah, and just share some different things with you. So we had a slight change of plans. Initially, when I talked to you about the process, I told you that we would be doing a community input process whereby we engage different groups of agencies and swim teams and all of those sorts of things. And somebody from Finney County Economic Development put a bug in my ear sometime in November and said, why don't you try talking to some kids? And like I do with most things, I didn't take that lightly. I decided, why not talk to all the kids, right? If we're gonna talk to one, why not talk to all of them? So we are in the process of talking to all 3rd graders through 12th graders in Garden City schools, Holcomb schools, Deerfield, Lakin, Cimarron, and Scott City, with the idea that I get it, we go much farther than that and we bring in people farther than that, but those are the people that are using it on a regular basis or would have access on a regular basis. And so I'm actually going to the schools. Each school gets to choose how they want to do it. I access through their principal, and then they set up the meetings. So some of them are really big. I did Lakin High School all at one time. Some of them are smaller. I've done individual classes at the high school of somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 students. So it just depends. It depends on what they want, and I just show up. I show them a video, which Lauren put together, which is super cool, which you'll get to see. Not today, but soon. And then I show them a presentation and talk to them about the statistics, the important pieces, why we're having this conversation, the water loss, the expense. I talk to them about that. I talk to them about different locations throughout the community that we could have water features, whether that be a splash park or a community pool, something of that nature. And then I actually show them project concepts. So they've gotten to see pictures from other communities and what they've done, and it's really created some excitement. So we also have some access to a homeschool group. They all get together on Fridays, and so I'll be talking to them. I'm also going to hit St. Mary's and St. Dominic's. And then once we are through with this, we're going to take all of this data from the students and we're going to flip it into a few extra slides in the presentation that will then be available to the community. I'll come back to you at the first meeting in February. I'll show you the video, I'll show you the presentation, and I'll show you the data just from the students at that time. And at that point in time, it will be open to the community and I'll start the community sessions. And so that's kind of the change that we've made. I'm excited about it. I think it's great. I've gotten some real enthusiasm, and the kids really are happy that you want their opinion. That's been kind of a sentiment from several of them that they've taken home to their parents, that they're excited that the City Commission wants to know what they think. So there is an open question on the student surveys that say, what would you like to tell your City Commissioners? So you're going to have thousands of comments,
great.
but I will make sure that you get them well in advance so you can read every single one, because I promised them that you would. So just a quick reminder what we're talking about. We're talking about the two main things that I'm hitting with everybody is the water loss, the 200,000 gallons that we're losing every day during the summertime when we're open and what that translates to. And then the second one is the operation cost. And as we've gone through this, I will tell you our operation cost is extremely high in comparison to any other project concept we've considered. So I think that's fun for students to look at what we're paying to run our big pool and what it costs to run some other facility or multiple other facilities. And so it gives them some perspective, which has been great. So this has been, just so you're kind of aware, if you stop by the city at any time in the future, I won't be here probably. Most days from 9 to 4 until February 1st, I'm giving presentations. They last 15 to 20 minutes, and then questions afterwards. Most of the younger kids' classes, 3rd to 6th grade, take the full hour because they have lots of questions. High schoolers, not so much. They just kind of want to hear and then get on to their next thing. And then you can kind of see how the sessions are laid out. What else did we change? So there's going to be, with our survey link, we're going to have our survey link out in English and Spanish. We are going to, even though we're in the schools, we are going to publish the links for the different age groups and for the community, so that if we did miss a student, if a student was sick, or if for some reason we didn't hit them, they'll have access to that on our Facebook and our Twitter and those sorts of things. We will also attach the video to that. It's just under 2 minutes, so hopefully it will get people jazzed up to take the survey or catch their attention if they're scrolling through Facebook and get them to do the survey. Initially we were going to open the community survey for a week or week and a half while we were doing the community presentations. I'm actually going to run the community survey for an entire month. And Lauren and I are going to do a secret second video, which is going to hopefully create a drive up to some of the locations with a preview of what could be there. And so hopefully to generate more likes and shares. And with the likes and shares, I think we're going to do an opportunity to win something, some prize down the road if you like and share our video and our survey and complete it. So those are some of the things that we've changed. Initially our goal for the number of people we wanted to reach, I went into this thinking that I hoped we could get 1,000 people to fill out this survey. As of today, we already have 500, and that's after only being in schools for 3 days last week. So it's great, right? It's awesome. We're going to engage a lot of people, and it's fun, and it's exciting, and the community is excited about it. So here's a sneak peek. Matt decided him and I needed to have a quick meeting, and like I said, I'm not here, so he met me at one of the schools so that we could have a quick meeting between sessions, and he decided to stay and watch. This is at Florence Wilson?
Yep, fourth graders.
Yep. So this was last week, and so Matt snapped a picture, and so I thought I would share this share this here so you can see me up there answering all of the questions. Probably not as eloquently as I look there. And I just want to put this piece out there so people can start planning, and that's really what this presentation today was meant for, was so that people would know that February 4th through February 8th, we will do community engagement sessions. Our intern, Jared Smith, will start contacting those that we've identified, the ones that I have brainstormed and thought, okay, this is who we need to talk to, whether that be swim teams or whether that be Level Finney County Economic Development, whatever. He will contact them and actually get them on a schedule at a time that works for them. And then we will open it up community-wide and have general sessions. We'll have some evening sessions. I'll have a couple early morning sessions, and then a couple weekend sessions. And hopefully we'll accommodate everybody by doing that. We also will have a couple sessions that are that we specify to a language that's spoken, that we have a translator for, so that we can do all of those at once. That's been the best way to do it in talking to other people, and so I'm going to try and utilize those same techniques. A final schedule for this week, the 4th through the 8th, will be released by the 25th, and like I said, I'll give all that to you that first week of February. I just want you to have this map. This map is really important. It's part of the survey. It's part of the discussion I'm having with the kids. And it's really the focus around all of the different locations in our community that we've identified as potential places for projects, whether that be a splash park, whether that be a community swimming pool, whether that be a pool like we have now, or something else. And so these dots really represent what we do with our future. So at the end of this, what I want people to take out of it is, if you have a meeting scheduled for something, whether it be social, whether it be business related, if you have a MOPS group, if you run a business with a lot of employees that I could come and talk to, if you would like paper surveys at your business that people who come in could fill out, or that you could give out to people that you see and collect, anything. If there's any way that I can engage more people or come into contact with people that I'm not thinking of or that I haven't considered, please, this is my office number, this is my cell phone, this is my email, or you can reach Jared at our main line. But reach out, give me a call. I don't care if it's 3 people or 60, I'll come and talk to them. That's it. Questions?
Jennifer, this basically is for not this year, but the following years. I mean,
Yeah.
we're going to open the pool as we did last year, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's basically what you guys said that you wanted to do. You said that you
Right.
wanted to open for the 2019 season, but you wanted me to start working on this process, and so we kind of have a timeline for what we're working through. But yes, we are. I have jobs open for the manager positions and for lifeguards already, and I've already been getting applications. And yes, we will be open for the 2019 season as normal. We won't be doing any of the large capital projects. We'll just be getting through another season and then kind of waiting to see what you all decide.
Okay, very good.
Good job.
Thank you.
Sounds
Thank you.
exciting, thanks.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Item 7B, we're pleased to recognize Finance Director Melinda Hitz and really all of the staff for the contributions that they bring to creating our financial report. Once again, the city received a Certificate of Achievement for the or Certificate of Achievement in Financial Reporting for our 2017 CAFR. So congratulations, Melinda. And that is, you have a couple things, that is a big deal. And there aren't a lot of communities in Kansas that put themselves through the level of financial reporting and then let alone receive recognition from the Government Finance Officers Association that they've met all the requirements for that. And the City of Garden City has received this award virtually without exception every year that Melinda's been with the city, which is a number of years, 1990 or 91, I believe.
We started getting it in 1994.
Okay,
Oh,
It
wow.
took a few years to get the books in order.
all right. You can work miracles.
Yeah.
There's a limit, right?
Balance
There's a
of
limit.
books.
Very good. So we're certainly proud of that.
Good job.
Thank you.
I think items C through F are monthly, well, 3 of them are monthly reports and one's an annual report. If you have any questions regarding those, staff is available to answer those questions. Hearing none, we'll draw your attention to the meetings of note. We have, I believe, the dates for both the Southwest Kansas Coalition trip to Washington, DC, where it's kind of the makeup of that is one elected and one staff from Dodge Garden and Liberal. Jennifer's going to be the staff person that goes on that. Mayor, she will get with you on those dates and logistics. What's the?
They have decided that it will be February, our meetings will be on February 11th and 12th. Fly in on the 10th and fly out on the 13th.
So you may give that some consideration if that works for you. The two of you can
Okay.
begin working on that. If that doesn't work for you, then we need to figure out who's going. You might, the rest of you might look at your calendars, probably in the order of Vice Mayor and then the balance of the commission. Just in case you get that call, you'll be able to give a quick yes or quick no.
Mm-hmm.
The other meeting that I do believe we have on here, maybe not. No, maybe it was still up in the air when we did our meetings of note, but it has been finalized. Micah, do you have the date of the congressional reception on the top of your head?
23rd to the 25th of March,
So the Monday date
the
is,
25th.
okay. March 25th, we would look to be going in on either the 23rd or 24th, and then leaving on the 26th, depending on some of the auxiliary meetings we schedule. But you know, anyone interested in attending those, please let me know. Again, this dates back to the 80s. The original purpose of the meeting was that the Essential Air Service communities would go back and talk to their congressional delegation and EAS staff about the program. The scope of that is broadened, and while we get legislative updates in the morning from the congressional staffers, in the afternoon, sort of split up depending on how many people go, and go hit either the staff of and representative or senator, or sometimes when we have projects going on, whether it be, you know, over the years it's been rail issues with the Southwest Chief and the Tiger Grant. So the years it's been economic development projects, and you're going and talking to the EDA. We've visited with on electric issues, all sorts of issues over the years. So we will certainly make use of your time if you go. So you might look at your calendars and let us know your interest in going to that in DC. I think those are the only things I wanted to point out.
Matt,
Yes?
town hall meeting? This month, January 29th.
Yeah.
There's a town hall meeting at the City Administrative Center, January 29th,
Just a reminder.
on Kansas Day. Very good. So I don't think there's anything else, so we're ready for 9A, which, if you approve, would be ordinance number 2475-2019A.
Commissioner Dale?
I'll make a motion that we approve the appropriation ordinance 2475-2019A.
I'll second.
Some motion and seconded. that we approve appropriations ordinance 2475-2019A. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nay? Any nays? Motion carried.
Item 10A, the governing body is asked to consider and approve an amendment to the City of Garden City ordinance number 38-31, impoundment fees, and section 42-251, abandoned property impound fees. If approved, this would be ordinance number 2823-2019.
What was it, 23?
28, 23.
23. Entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2823.
I'll make the motion, we approve ordinance 2823-2019.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Dale seconded. It's been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2823-2019. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Mayor, would you object to jumping down to 12A? We've got folks here for that item, and they've got a presentation, and we'll save them looking at a bunch of abandoned vehicles.
Yeah.
All right, item 12A, the governing body is asked to consider and approve a memorandum of understanding with 2107 East Kansas LLC for the redevelopment of property approximately located at Campus Drive and Kansas Avenue. Caleb?
All right, as you have in your packets, the memo describing what this, the 2107 East Kansas LLC has been in discussion with the city staff in regards to the redevelopment of property at a property located in Campus Drive and Kansas Avenue approximately. There's a map attached to the MOU that gives a little better physical location for you. The memorandum of understanding under consideration is a two-way agreement between the developer and the city. The memorandum is non-binding, which does not commit the city to any further agreements or obligations. And the developer will be seeking to establish both a tax increment financing district and a community improvement district for their project, which will be over $25 million in investment on this property. And I'll let them go into a little bit more detail about their project. And there is no other fiscal note with the obligation under consideration with the MOU. And the alternatives are the governing body may approve the attached memorandum of understanding. The governing body may defer action until a later date, or the governing body may not approve the attached memorandum of understanding. Staff recommends the governing body approve the memorandum of understanding. And we have representatives advocate here that will give you a brief presentation about their project.
Do you want to state your name?
Sure, I'm Kristen Shipkowski, and I'm here on behalf of the developer.
Okay.
Bear with me. All right, there we go.
Okay. So a little bit about the developer. It's a wholly owned subsidiary of First National Bank, which has been part of the Garden City and Western Kansas community for over 100 years. They currently have 5 locations in Western Kansas, including 2 in Garden City. And this is the property in question itself. It is located sort of by campus and the intersection of campus and Kansas Avenue, just northeast of it, and just southwest Target sort of off screen to the northeast there. And it's currently a largely vacant, undeveloped piece of property. There are some buildings to the northeast right now that are aging and sort of not contributing right now to the city. And the project itself will be a commercial development, which will feature sort of as the anchor expanded First National Bank building, which would allow for the city to provide increased services to Garden City. And they're expected to be approximately 5 other commercial and retail buildings, including some tenants that are likely to be first to market to Garden City, which is exciting. And as Caleb mentioned, it's expected to be at least $25.7 million in investment in Garden City, and ultimately create a strong infill development at an area of the city that's along an important avenue, Kansas Avenue, and that's currently not an active part of the city. And this is just sort of a mock-up of what the development's projected to look like right now. And then a little bit about the MOU as well. As Caleb noted, it's currently non-binding, but just given the level of process that a TIF district and CID involves, we decided to go with the MOU route to sort of get initial feedback about the project from the City Commission and see if this was something the city would be supportive of, us continuing to work with the city to negotiate and put forth the rest of the documents. So the way it's currently set up, the TIF district would be pay-as-you-go. There'd be no bonds issued, and it would be no city credit support involved, so it would be all based on the success of the development itself. And the CID would involve an additional 1% sales tax within the district. And as noted before, the ultimate goal of the project is to create quality infill development and allow for marketing to tenants that are new and high-end generally in that area. So this is an approximate timeline. If the city is supportive of the project, we'd like to move relatively quickly so that we can get removal of the buildings done and construction started later this year. You'd likely be seeing a resolution to set a hearing in February and then a hearing to establish the TIF district in March, or in February, and then the actual hearing to establish the TIF district in March, and then a resolution to approve the TIF plan and CID petition in April, and the actual consideration of those two items in May. And then pretty much as soon as everything's approved, I think demolition and construction would start. Any questions?
How would you phase this? Would you?
So this would be essentially a one-phase development. I believe the financial projections sort of phase in a 3 to 4 year full build out, but it might be a little faster than that. We're expecting the bank and probably at least 1 or 2 commercial buildings could be in place by next year.
Mm-hmm.
Will there be entrances off of Kansas Avenue, or is it all going to come off of Campus Avenue? How will you get into this new shopping area and the retailer?
I believe we're seeking an entrance off of Kansas as well as Campus. There'd be multiple entrances. There's also been discussion about taking the Tally Trail through that development.
Oh, wow.
So it would avoid the Campus and Kansas intersection, which is a little precarious.
It looked like there was an entrance off of Campus.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. That's where.
Yeah.
There's,
And then
okay,
Kansas
I see.
there.
Yeah. Kansas already has there's a curb cut there.
Right.
I think.
Yes.
I think that's right. And then there would be, ultimately the goal would also be to provide a connection to Target. We're still negotiating with Target on that.
And it's all of those buildings to the northeast of that property area,
Yes, to be removed.
all the
and
way up to, okay.
Replaced.
I have a question. Does development of this project depend upon the granting of the Community Improvement District?
I think the development of this scale would depend upon that, yes. I don't-
So you think it wouldn't happen without that additional incentive?
Correct.
Did we use the same, and you'll have to help me with the same thing that at Schulman Crossing? Did they use these two mechanisms to create that for success, or were they?
If that's for me, no, they
I'm
just
sorry.
use the tax increment financing district, they don't have a CID.
Okay, so the CID is
Stone
there
Creek
too.
Development is a CID, and Flat Mountain Brewery is
So we
a
have used that before.
CID.
And I guess that's my concern, is we talk about community improvement districts and the point of a community improvement district, and I brought this up when we talked about Flat Mountain Brewery too. I understand the argument at that time was made, well, we need this tool to be able to allow us to get financing from our bank. I'm leery of setting a precedent in that manner.
Sure.
And if you're honestly telling me, well, this just won't get done without that additional tool, I mean, I think that's something we have to consider going forward, because then after we, set this, then we are kind of defining a community improvement district as anybody that wants to develop something. And I agree, this isn't a gray area, but this, I think, is distinctly different than when we were discussing it in the Flat Mountain Brewery situation where it was a blighted area of downtown and part of our master plan trying to develop. So I appreciate your honesty in that, but I hope our commission considers that a little bit further.
Sure, and I think just to expand on that, we hear your point on that, and it's something, we'll take a look at the numbers again, just to be absolutely sure that this is required for the project. But we do think it's an important piece of property, it's an important location of the city, and we do think it warrants it, but we understand your concern, and we're happy to take a look at it.
I mean, it is a good property, it will be a great investment, I think it'll have a good return for you too.
Sure.
Does that road curve up? That goes to Obrates?
It actually goes into, it will tie into the Target parking lot area there.
Oh, that's Target, okay.
It's important to note that this is all in the infancy stages with the MOU. This establishes this to move forward. This is the concept, and this all have to go through all the proper channels of the review and procedures. We'll look at a detail of the need for and procedures for each of the requests that are included in the MOU, including the CID and the TIF district, to make sure that it meets all the criteria that's there. In this case, there are some as retail aspects to this. This is a little bit newer than what we've seen in the past. Each one of our districts has been a little bit different, and this is definitely different. This is from ground up, which is we've never really truly done a new completely. It's been our first CID district. Stone Creek was a combination of new and existing, and then this is all strictly new. So it's kind of exciting to see that move forward as they want to do this, and that's what's before you is this MOU to help them move forward, to kind of move to their next step and moving forward.
I appreciate that. I just like to throw the issues out on the table so that they're out there, you know. I don't try and surprise anybody on the other end.
We appreciate that, and we're happy to work with the city.
Right now, Kristen, obviously the anchor, I guess the first store in, it doesn't have taxable sales. And I'm not sure how many of the other buildings in the concept are firm or letters of intent, or if any.
Sure, right now it's
but I do know that when we had our discussions with you, it was anticipated that some of those buildings may in fact be office, which also wouldn't generate retail sales. So could you walk through those buildings and maybe give some indication of which buildings your assumptions used as CID additional incentive generator?
Sure. So right now the bank building is, I can point to that sort of.
There you go.
So right now the bank building would be situated here. This is also sort of all subject to a little bit of change based on various discussions and approvals that are to be had. And there has been discussions about office building in here. I think the goal would be to be majority retail sales tax generating. And certainly the building in this area would be expected to be. There's been some discussion of an office on this end, but it's certainly not been finalized yet. I don't think we could say for sure whether.
For point of reference, what's the square footage of the westernmost building and which would be left-hand side of the page?
Yeah, you're testing my eyesight.
The huge square on the.
9,000 square feet.
Okay. How much again?
I believe it would be about 9,000, but I need to.
Single story, probably.
Single story, yeah.
What's up at the top? The buildings?
These two?
Yeah, what are those?
So these would be both projected to be retail.
Retail.
Likely restaurant and possibly more of a typical storefront retail.
Okay.
Any LOIs with anyone at this point in time, or is it?
There are no LOIs. There's been sort of formal discussions taking place, and a draft purchase agreement has been circulated in the absence of an LOI.
With
Nothing's after that.
is it anticipated 2107 East Kansas LLC would be a group that ultimately intends to sell off all these parcels, or does 2107 East Kansas LLC intend to be the owner of buildings that would lease
So I think
lease
there's a
out?
lot of flexibility in terms of that. Certainly 2107 East LLC would be an owner of property in here, with the bank would be leasing from
Right.
that entity, and that would be a long-term arrangement. That entity would also likely be responsible for all the common area maintenance of the development. They tend to be sort of long-term investment into this property and affording
In a position to do whatever best financially, I would
Right.
suspect.
Exactly.
So Commissioner Burrs, I want to make sure, so like the CID, so that is, so you're discussing that because of you do think it's a valuable tool, or it's a tool
I
that,
think it's a valuable tool when utilized in the right area for the right purpose.
okay,
I feel like if it's just another way to leverage more sales tax and direct it into a private financing for a development, I think every time we utilize one of these, we need to think, what is the overall benefit of the community? Because that sales tax is sales tax that could otherwise be going to the state to serve the general good of the wider populace versus going back to a development district. So now, if the way that I read it originally, and the original intent was, okay, you define an entire district like the entire downtown, and this is going to be used to beautify or make beneficial changes. And yet now we see it utilized in more narrowed places. Now, I understand, and I think what the argument that came up with Flat Mountain Brewery was, it was a small enough project that they needed that per their bank to secure that financing. That development was not going to happen. The renewal of that building was not going to happen without that tool. I guess I was hoping you would have a little bit more solidified numbers, at least even a percentage that you expected to be retail, or somewhat to base your approximation when you tell me that we can't do this development without this tool, versus just saying, well, we want to take advantage of everything out there. Because I think we have to be more judicious about how we define those tools and the use of those. And they aren't without penalty. I mean, you can look at the TIF for the Prairie Fire development in South Johnson County and kind of see that it does come back to the community sometimes. So I really appreciate your project and the vision and the investment, and I know we are all on board and want to help, but I think we have to be more strategic about how we talk about these and the utility of them. And that's really the point I was going to make. Did somebody catch that?
well,
I'm a hand talker. It's a problem when I
well,
have
and I
such
think
stuff.
also, I mean, I appreciate that, and I think that with Caleb talking about that, really that CID comes up in March, I think, according to your timeline, but with that, you're going to be doing a lot, you'll be further in the project, and then,
Yeah, it would be March or April, maybe, and I think the final
Yeah.
vote
So we
in
can
that
talk
would be
more
May.
specifically at that
yeah, I
point.
appreciate that.
Sure.
And as they move forward with LOIs, with opportunities, that's where the differences in the CID come into play as a tool to help lock in some of those. And as well as the TIF is typically used for infrastructure improvements, whereas the CID can be used for vertical and internal costs. So,
It might help the commission in not just this issue, but just the approach. And I guess if the commission's interested in course correcting staff in this approach, certainly now is as good a time as any to visit about that. But in working with developers of property and particularly the ones that have the capability of generating a sales tax, which this one does, even though it's not a for sure thing yet. But I think we all understand there's some retail value to that corner and that large of a tract. So it's a safe assumption. Every one of our projects that we've done dating back to 2003 in retail have said, here's the tools that we have in the toolbox. You can choose a property tax tool. Let's run the numbers on your project, open book together. Let's see what this tool does, this property tax tool. And then in that category, we've got tax increment financing, or we've got neighborhood revitalization, which are very similar, but not the same. And there's a threshold on neighborhood revitalization that a lot of projects now, where it doesn't take much to exceed the $2 million
Cap.
cap. Well, yeah, and it's not even really a cap, it's you're in or you're out. So 2,250,000, you're not eligible, period. You don't even get the value of that first 2 million. So TIF or NRP on the property tax side. Sales tax side, there's a sales tax TIF, which uses the increment, the public money, the money that could have gone to the city or could have gone to the county or could have gone to the state. Or the CID, which is you levy an additional 1 cent on your customers.
Right, that goes back.
That can come back, and you've got to broaden and maybe a little bit more expanded use of those funds. So let's see where your costs are and let's see which tools you want. But at the end, and we had this discussion on this project, we'll work. You can have a property tax tool or you can have a sales tax tool. You're not going to have both tools. You're not going to have both of those. The community, the greater good has to have one of those streams. And so on this one, now, the CID is sort of outside of that because the sales tax increment would be the stream that we can't get a CID stream. So if you do a property tax and you want considered for CID, you can go ask for that because that's not part of the city's or the state's real stream. There's a theoretical greater good that could go to, but not an actual right now levied and on the books approved by the voters greater good that could be going to. So that's the approach we take. That's how we got to the terms of this MOU.
And I think one other thing we discussed, Matt, as well, was because CIDs can be used for a broader range of funds, it sort of provides a backstop by which if all the reimbursable expenses get paid out, the TIF district can be closed sooner and then everyone gets the benefit of the increment that the project generates.
Well, and
sooner.
I want to recognize also that development is not without risk, and this is a huge, 23 or 25 million, I just lost the figure. $25 million, and so, there's not without risk. Retail or office buildings I appreciate it. I think this piece of property is ideal and that someone wants to develop it and that you're taking into considerations of how it can benefit the community. Tally Trail, I think that was really neat. But also this idea of really doing mixed use so that you have some of the best of both, some real.
Part of the next steps for them as well, which helps put our minds at ease as we move forward with and theirs as well. They've probably done a little bit of a market study. We'll receive a commercial market study to help us and help them know that they're going to be able to move the product that they're going to move forward with. So that will also help us on this. This is, like I said, just the infancy, beginning stages so that they can move forward with these next steps to know whether it's something that we will
a viable
consider
plan.
Viable.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the memorandum of understanding with 2107 East Kansas LLC.
Second.
There's a motion before us and seconded to approve the memorandum of understanding for 2107 East Kansas LLC. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen. Thanks, Matt. Thank you, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go
Yeah,
back.
let's go back to wherever we were. 10B, the governing body is asked to, bear with me, I'm gonna get the right stuff on the monitors.
We're back up to like 20 pages.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're back at the beginning.
banking institution.
And you just thought we were done.
There we go.
No, I never think we're done. I'm always surprised.
The governing body is asked to consider and approve the following resolution regarding banking institutions to be used as depositories for the city's public funds. If approved, it would be resolution number 2777-2019. Melinda?
We started this resolution a few years ago, just as an annual practice at your reorganization meeting, to list the banks that are located within the city limits of the city of Garden City where we could have a depository with them. Some banks may choose not to do that with the city because they do have to put up some pledging requirements, but we do like to list every bank in the city limits in case they would have an opportunity to serve the city with their banking services.
Okay,
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2777-2019.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2777-2019. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? No. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Belinda.
Thanks.
Item 10C. Mayor and Commissioners, you're being asked to approve a motor vehicle nuisance resolution, which if approved, would abate a violation at 510 South St. John Street. And if approved, it would be resolution number 2778-2019. Caleb?
All right, actually, before I get started on this, just to go over just a refresher again on the processes for these vehicles. We do have several on here, but when we reach out to individuals that we received a complaint on, or if we've been in the neighborhood that we've received a complaint somewhere else, and we're trying to be equitable as the direction that we've been given in the past by the governing body, as far as if we get a call in that neighborhood, we're going to look at everything in that block area, and then we will we'll approach the door in person and try to talk to someone individually in person. And if they're not there, we leave a door hanger. And if they contact us, usually 2 to 3 days, we'll leave the door hanger, and if they don't contact us, then we'll proceed with a letter. And if they receive a letter, anytime within that 10-day time frame that they receive that letter, usually it's about 12, because we give some time as far as the letter being received by the property owners, they can contact us, our staff, and we will work with them on a time frame on that. So a lot of times, you may not see some of these cases for several months, or usually we give a timeline, usually about 90 days, because if we've received a complaint in that neighborhood, usually residents have an expectation that if there's a law that they want it enforced. And so that's kind of what we do on this procedures and moving forward with this. This case before you today is a case that has, we did not receive any contact from the owners from the door hanger that was left, and we did not receive any contact from when the letter was sent. After your action, we send them another letter giving them the time frame that's in the resolution, and that time frame is usually the time frame that's set. You're establishing a specific time frame, and we hold to that time frame as directed by the governing body. And so this is for a motor vehicle at 510 St. John Street for a white 4-door Dodge vehicle. And so
And Caleb, I know that I had a citizen ask me concerning, because he does a lot of buying cars and hobbying and fixing them up, and so I did email and ask about, those who, how can they best make sure if it's not running or they're planning on getting it running. And so yes. I appreciate, I don't know if you want to review that. I really appreciate the answer you gave.
Absolutely.
Now, of course, like storing it in their friend's garage, I thought that was, I smiled when you said that. But,
yeah, we actually have people that do that.
Yeah.
They have their neighbor that they're trying to save some money up. Maybe their starter went out on it or something, and their neighbor lets them park it in their garage to, in the meantime. We'll work with anybody that will contact us that we've received a complaint on it. If they have that, we'll absolutely work with them. If it's located inside of a garage or other structure, enclosed structure, there's no violation that they can keep those hobby cars or a car they're working on. What the ordinance does reflect is that if it's visible to the public, that it then becomes a nuisance, and as such can be enforced that way. They can put it in a backyard, if they have a backyard, and put that behind a screened-in fence that's not visible by the public. However, that does not eliminate the issue that it's still a nuisance if the neighbors continue to call. We don't look over people's fences to see what's in their backyards, but their neighbors might, and that is frequent. But those are the issues that come up. We encourage people, if they do have an issue, say their car is broke down or for whatever businesses that allow that for part of their business operations, will allow people to store their cars there while they're waiting to get them fixed and repaired. We have found that by unfortunately over 20 years of code compliance, that normally if you give much more time than 90 days, that vehicle will probably still be there 2 years later in that situation. And so, but we do work. Anyone who contacts us, we work as much as we possibly can. And it depends on, of course, the neighbors on that. We get questions a lot is, I want to know who's complaining about it. Well, we don't issue information about that until the case is closed. When the case is closed, it's open record. They can request that through the open records policy that the city has in place, and they can see what it is. A lot of those percentages is going to be anonymous or by staff, because our complaint in maybe this neighborhood was in regards to weeds, and the weeds were taken care of, but when we looked at the whole block, we looked at the other violations that may exist for equitable reasons. But as long as those individuals are working with us, they're making progress, and they're not being disingenuous in our ability to extend that time in the time that we give them in the door hanger or the letter they receive, we'll work with them on that. So
I appreciate that.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion on Resolution 2778.
Mayor, I move that we adopt Resolution 2778 to abate this motor vehicle nuisance.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2778-2019 on a motor vehicle. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Very good, and appreciate Caleb being willing to give that update and that overview. I think it'll be helpful both on vehicle nuisances and the abatement of environmental nuisances. As we progress through the rest of these resolutions, I will simply read the resolution number and the address. And if you've got questions, you can follow up with Caleb on those. So item 10D, which if approved would be resolution number 2779-2019, would remove a motor vehicle violation at 1906 Vinzant.
Where is that? Vinzant. Never heard of it.
that is one of our small.
All the way to the west side next to the tracks.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Right by Inch and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a resolution to, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2779-2019.
Is there a second?
Second, yep.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2779-2019. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Item 10E, which if approved would be resolution number 2780-2019, would remove a motor vehicle violation at 1908 Vinzant.
I move that we approve resolution number 2780-2019.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2780-2019. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item 10F,
We got still.
which if approved would be resolution number 2781-2019, removes a motor vehicle violation at 304 West Maple.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2781-2019.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2781-2019. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Item 10G, which if approved would be resolution number 2782-2019, removes a motor vehicle violation at 401 Hudson.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve, what number was that?
2782.
2782, reference to a nuisance vehicle at 401 Henderson Street.
I'll second.
It's
It's
Hudson.
moved and
Hudson.
Seconded, who seconded?
I made the second,
Okay,
but it's on Hudson.
yeah, Hudson.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Item 10H, which if approved, would be resolution number 2783-2019 and remove a motor vehicle violation at 309 Hudson.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve Resolution 2783-2019.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2783-2019 for 309 Hudson. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Would the mattress be a environmental nuisance?
What's that?
The
There's
mattress
actually-
laying up against it?
There is an environmental nuisance, yes, on this property
Okay.
as
I think
well.
it's a new sleeper.
So,
Item 10I, which if approved would be resolution number 2784-2019, would remove a motor vehicle nuisance at 503 North Taylor.
I'll make the motion we approve Resolution 2784-2019.
Second.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2784-2019. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Caleb.
There's no old business. We've already done item 12A, so I think we're ready for 12B. The governing body is asked to consider and approve changes to the current process for grant awards through the City of Garden City. Jennifer?
Mayor and Commissioners, during the budget process in 2018 and also at your goal retreat last year, we discussed grants in general. We discussed how they're awarded, and I showed you some information on those who apply and all sorts of things over the last year. And so normally the ART grant, the AFAC grant, and the community grant roll out January 1. They open up, they close towards the end of January, beginning of February, and we kind of start through the process. But they actually don't start to get funds until the end of March. And so we do have some time. We always roll them out that early so that there's extra time if we need it. But going into this, Matt and I had several discussions about what we wanted to bring before you and kind of how we wanted to have this discussion proceeding with each of these grants. So I'm going to talk about them individually, and then our recommendation goes back to them being collective. But I'm going to start with AFAC because it is probably one of the more difficult in the sense of what it requires and what we actually give. I took over the grant process from Ashley in 2016 and just basically proceeded as usual, proceeded on the same path that she had always done. We adapted the applications a little bit, the requirements a little bit, so that I could get a better understanding of what people were asking for. But essentially we left the process the same. While I have been in charge of AFAC as staff liaison, Verna Weber has been on there, Susan Escarino, and Greg Hands as the county's representation. Anything you do decide on AFAC does also have to be approved by the county because that is a shared grant with them. We do 90% and they do 10%. But the purpose of these funds, and I want you to specifically pay attention to this language because it's extremely hard for the agencies that apply for these funds to understand how specific it is. And it does require that the principal purpose of those, like the main thing they do is alcoholism and drug prevention, abuse prevention, education in alcohol and drug detoxification, intervention in alcohol and drug abuse, or treatment of persons who are alcoholics or drug abusers or in high danger of becoming alcoholics or drug abusers. And we've proceeded in that sort of loosely in the sense that if a child comes from a home of a parent who might use alcohol, then an event that they were part of would fall into that category. And so it's just been a little bit looser than I think it intended when it was created. And so proceeding with the AFAC grant and this committee, it's difficult. We have them put in their application, we interview them. There's typically enough funds to give all of the funds that are requested out in AFAC, but a lot of the times I feel like our committee struggles with the fact that we're interviewing someone and a lot of the dollars are just going basically to an operation of their budget. It's just funds that fall in every year. They just expect that they're coming and they just use them for normal operational purposes. And so the committee struggles with asking these really tough questions in interviews that at the end of the day really don't have any impact. We just make the recommendation and award the funds. And so I'm asking that we change this a little bit, kind of give it a breath of fresh air and maybe look at it in a different light. And that is to not go away from that entirely, because I do think that there are agencies that are relying on this to get through and may need a span of time to get some dollars, but not all of the dollars that they were getting before. So I'm asking that you take the 100,000, or actually it's about 105,000, and split it 50-50. Take 50 of it and give that in a portion that would essentially be handled by staff. We would put an application out like we do now. Applications would come in and staff would make a recommendation to you all at no more than 6,000. So any agency that loosely fell into these guidelines could apply for up to 6,000, but nothing beyond 6,000 in that first 50%. And then the other 50% would be given to an agency that actually deals on a regular basis with prevention and drug treatment and alcoholism treatment, all of those things, like Live Well Finney County. That was just an example because I know they've really tried to attack some of the drug problems that we have. But an agency like that, and have them work together with maybe more than one agency and disperse the other 50%. Now, that wouldn't stop an agency from applying for both sides of the 50% if they believed that they needed that and they believed they truly met the intent of the law that was created for these funds. It wouldn't prevent them from applying for both. But it would have an additional stopper in place and also a different level of scrutiny that I don't think we've been able to have in the past. And so I just think, also because you can change this from year to year, if we did it for a year and at the end of that year we didn't like how it turned out or it wasn't of benefit or we don't think that it achieved better results, we could look at doing it differently. And I'm open to suggestions on that. That was kind of our, that's kind of what we came up with for AFAC at this point in time. So I'm gonna jump also from there into the community grant. The community grant is kind of this overwhelming grant that since its creation, it has been part of the AFAC committee, so whoever is on the board for AFAC also handles community grant. Community grant has always just been strictly an application. It's a very simple application. There's no interview, there's nothing, because there are typically way more applicants than there are funds to be distributed, so 80,000+ in requests and 30,000 to give away, or thereabouts. And so this group really, what they do is go through and they decide, okay, what of this can we fund or do we want to fund? And they kind of pick out the 2 or 3 things that seem high priority for that year and then kind of push everything else to the side. And so, not that they can't continue to do that, I just don't think that this process is also getting the level of scrutiny that it needs. And at the same time, as your staff liaison for your Community Health Advisory Board, I've been working with them on their purpose and their place in how they help advocate for better things in our community, whether that be related to health, whether that be related to exercise, whatever it is. Access, we talk a lot about access, and that's one of their goals that they're working on. And so I think they would be a really good fit for taking over this grant. There's 9 of them, so they have an odd number. I think they are all very intelligent individuals who could really scrutinize this, interview the applicants, and maybe add a level to this that would give you better recommendations and also better understanding of the projects or the agencies that are getting the funds out of the community grant. And the last piece is the art grant committee, which I think runs fine overall. Typically, we don't have as many requests as we have funds. There's about $15,000 in the art grant. And what I'm proposing to you is that you take a portion of those funds, typically there's $15,500 in there. And I'm asking that you allocate only $12,000 and take the other $3,500 that would be left over and set that aside in 2019 and use a transfer that would give you an additional $10,000 from the public art line item, which would give you $13,500 to do a project or an event or a painted mural downtown, whatever the commission would see fit as a group, that would add to the beautification of Garden City. And that we continue this as an every year thing that we look at that is chosen by the commission, and it's your project or it's your event or it's your art piece, whatever it may be and whatever the commission decides. But then we're continually putting something into Garden City that's not just and not that we don't need these, we do. We need to have the events that happen every year that are important art events in our community. But you guys are then pushing yourselves deeper to find things that could make our community better in the world of art. So that's a lot. But we wanted to get it out here because we do have to move forward on these for 2019, and so I'm open to suggestions. Your alternatives are to modify the processes as I've recommended on all 3 grants, to modify the process of 1 or more of the grants as described as I recommended, but not all 3, make no modifications and just proceed as we have in the past, or make modifications or changes as you see fit and give me direction moving forward.
Yeah, I really like where you're going with this. The art grant part of it, I think we need to, I know in the memo you have it that you need to do a little more research on it, on what other communities did, but I mean, it goes along with one of our goals that we're working on and that we're looking at beautifying the community and stuff, so. But my question on the art one is, you know, how do we go about finding a project, or and you said you were going to do some more research on it. And I guess that was my kind of question. Or that was a question I had, I guess, on that. But it looks like you'll do more research and get back with us if we do approve it.
I will. I was given 2 suggestions by Commissioner Unruh. One was a wall, I believe, in Wichita that has their zip code. Yep. Is that correct? A mural painted in their downtown that has the zip code, which is really this like gathering spot for senior pictures, or it's a gathering spot for people who are visiting to get their picture taken under this mural. And so anytime people are around that area, they're like excited. And so something like that could be a possibility. Or he also shared with me another suggestion, which was Salina, where the commission actually purchased or put out pedestals. And then artists came and showed different types of work that could be placed on those pedestals. And then the community voted on what they liked the best. And then the commission ultimately made the final decision on what should go on a pedestal. And then they would do that every year.
Okay.
So there's some options out there, and I can do more research on what other commissions or other cities and counties are doing with that piece and bring them before you. But I think, you know, some of you may have ideas also, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
They had a lot bigger budget in Salina, though.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
it was like 50,000.
Yeah.
$10,000 doesn't go very far.
Right.
No.
When you're
Right.
talking about sculpture.
Well, the thing
Or
I like about the
35.
AFAC is that you were actually bringing it down to really what the intended purpose is. And I really appreciate that you're recognizing, hey, we're not really hitting that purpose of that mark. And I think some of the work you've done here, and I really appreciate you involving advisory committee, you know, on the others. So that really says that, hey, we're valuing what they do and the work that they do. So.
Well, and maybe on the point of the art funding, we need, and this could be part of the goal-setting retreat and
Yeah,
with
that's
more
great.
community, but we maybe need to form maybe of a long-term goal and plan for a larger project over 5 years that we're going to put $50,000 into on a larger scale is just another possibility, but I
Something
would,
to think about.
yeah, I'd make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to modify the processes of the APAC community art and art grants as recommended by Assistant City Manager Cunningham.
Is there a
Second.
second?
I made the second.
Yeah. It's been moved and seconded that we approve option alternative number 1, modify the processes of the AFAC and Community and Art Grant as recommended by staff. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
I just wish the assistant city manager had something to do. I feel bad that she's, not doing much.
And a place to do it, right?
She's homeless.
Yeah.
12C, the governing body is asked to consider and appoint 2 members to fill the vacant seats on the Cultural Relations Board. Ally?
Mayor, Commissioners, the Cultural Relations Board has 2 positions with a term expiring December of 2021. Cultural Relations Board members reviewed applications received and are recommending to reappoint Patricia Long for her 2nd term and to also appoint Tracy Martinez to the 2nd position.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we reappoint Patricia Long and appoint Tracy Martinez to the vacant position that expires December 2021 to the Cultural
Is
Relations
there a
Board.
second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we reappoint Patricia Long and Tracy Martinez to the Cultural Relations Board, and the term will expire in December of 2021. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. All right. D?
Item 12D, the governing body is asked to consider and approve the semi-annual report for the CDBG revolving loan fund on behalf of Great Plains Development, Inc. Melinda?
This report you receive twice a year. So this is the December 31st report from Great Plains Development. After your approval, it would go to the state of Kansas for their files at the Department of Commerce.
Still looks like they have a large amount to get loaned out,
Yes.
so.
Yeah,
If we
I
can-
wish there was a way to really make, this more available, and I don't know how we do that. I think these are some really neat opportunities, and the funding is, but I don't know how we help promote this. I don't know.
Well,
What our part
economic
is.
development
Mm-hmm.
usually promotes that, or if people ask, the banks, sometimes the banks will refer them to the revolving loan fund, and if they can't make the loan.
So what is the big halt? What is it, the restriction on the type of development that it can be, plus just the?
No, I think
That's
it's more marginal loans
Mm-hmm.
that the bank won't, you can't borrow the money from the
You have to
bank.
be-
They don't
you
have
to
any,
be
yeah, they don't have
denied
any
by a
collateral.
bank, so.
And it's a good program. I happen to be the president of that board, so.
Are
I'm
they
real
having more
familiar.
luck in other communities? I don't know if you can share
No,
that kind of
yeah,
information, or is it?
it's all basically, I think it's 28 counties, southwest Kansas. So they cover a big area. But a lot of development in Ulysses, Dodge City, Garden, and Great Bend. That's where I see most of it. Going-
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve the semi-annual report from CDBG.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the semi-annual report, CDBG, for Great Plains Development. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Item 12E, the governing body is asked to consider and approve an interlocal agreement between Finney County and the City of Garden City for the FY17 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program. Chief?
Chief.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Back on June 26, 2018, the Police Department was awarded $14,656 from the fiscal year 17 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program, also known as JAG. We applied for the grant funds for the sole purpose of purchasing emergency communication equipment, i.e. Portable radios that are in need of replacement. In December 2018, we were notified from the Department of Justice that we were required to obtain an interlocal agreement between Finney County and the City of Garden City. This agreement must be signed by both parties to complete the award, and should the agreement not be signed by Finney County and the City of Garden City, the award funds in the amount of $14,656 will not be received by either party. Alternatives are to approve and sign the agreement or to reject the interlocal agreement between Finney County and the City of Garden City. And we'll recommend that alternative one for the governing body to approve and sign the interlocal agreement between Finney County and the City of Garden City.
Just right quick, Chief, I was reading through the attached information, and there were a number of other items, or they call them special conditions, items 61 through 64, on where they could withhold the funds on any of those. Have we kind of met all of the obligations on those? So
this has been a long, drawn-out grant.
Okay.
The grant was held back due to litigation on communities that were classified as sanctuary cities. So there was civil action. It was held back. And we've met all the requirements except this interlocal agreement that we were not aware of.
Okay.
Okay.
Just making sure we don't have any other actions that we need to take to.
Yes.
Because I know those radios are important for our staff. So I'll make the motion that we approve the interlocal agreement.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the interlocal agreement in alternative one between Finney County and the City of Garden City. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Let's see.
We're ready for the consent agenda. There's no changes to the consent agenda, so unless the commission would like to pull one of these items off, the appropriate motion would be to approve consent agenda items F1 through F4.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve consent agenda F1 through 4.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda F1 through 4. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Commission reports. Commissioner Dale.
Okay, I'll start off with thanking Chief Utes and his staff for inviting me to the awards banquet on Saturday night. It was really enjoyable. My wife and I enjoyed that. I'm going to allow my colleague, when it's his turn to go into greater detail, some of the highlights on there, if he would be willing to do that. It was a good pre-meeting as far as the information we got on electricity. I'm sure we got a long way to go. We got a lot of different departments in the utilities, and it's always, that area is one that you have to be thinking ahead by a long way to stay in the game. And so in order to save our citizens as much money as we possibly can, we have to be on top of everything we do there. So thank you for that. I appreciate my friend Roy's years of service as the mayor. This is his second term around. It was I considered him as a friend and someone that I could go to for advice. And he would even nudge me once in a while and kind of calm me down. But it's been a pleasure to work with you as the mayor, and we'll miss you. But I'll work on Dan, and he'll be all right.
Thank you.
That's all.
I need all the help I can get. Commissioner Unruh.
Well, as Commissioner Dale talked about, the awards banquet for the police department was very well done. So many awards. I just want to say thank you for including the Explorers program. I think these young men and women are really getting a top-notch education. The food was tremendous, so I'm sorry y'all missed out. It was very well done. I really appreciated the spirit. It's more like a family, and they work hard, long hours. There were many people who couldn't be there to receive their awards because they were out protecting our city. And so, just as a reminder that, some of us have a 9 to 5 or, a 7 to 7 or whatever kind of job. This is a 365, 24-hour-a-day, job that they're running, and so it never ends. So we really appreciate that you're out there. So I also, I'm really enjoying the big pool. I've checked with several of young people who have, Assistant City Manager Jennifer Cunningham has been out there. In this education and engagement initiative, I think I'll tell you, it's something to write home about. I think the work that you're doing and we are doing as a commission, it's unprecedented. This is obviously valuable to the city. The big pool has been it's a long time feature, and it's part of who we are. And so us taking the time and the energy and your energy and you're really paying attention to doing this right. I really think it'll help a lot of other communities make these decisions. Melinda on her staff award, I think that's it's almost like when you get so many awards, it's kind of like Matt, when you get so many awards after a while, it's where on my wall do I hang this one? So I don't have that experience yet. So we really appreciate you and your staff and all that you do. Great pre-meeting. A lot of times in the past, I just thought these things just happened, and so I don't think that anymore. So I really appreciate that that we are paying attention. The city and also our staff is paying attention to those long term. Mayor Cessna, you did an excellent job. I really enjoyed the first year. I know you really was a great time, and so we're looking forward to Mayor Fankhauser's year, and so we're excited about that. And so I'm excited about the things that are happening in Garden City.
Commissioner Burns.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and to all. I think this is an exciting time. Despite us being buried in snow, I do appreciate all the work that the city did to try and unbury us. And as we're looking towards spring and kind of changes, I think it's a very exciting time too. Despite our federal government continuing not to function very well, we do have a new governor, and the inauguration, I hope everybody got a chance to look at that and listen to her address, and I think it made me very hopeful, and I think we can be similarly inspired and hopeful for the upcoming legislative session and changes in Kansas, and so I think it's a hopeful time, and I've already ordered my seeds for spring. So excited. That's all I have.
You might have
Lots
to
of moisture.
plant them for a while. Frozen ground. Is that all? Commissioner Cessna?
Again, good pre-meeting. Congratulations to Melinda on the award. I'd like to thank city staff for all their work that they did during the last snowstorm. Got all the main arteries and secondary, and then even the residential areas. So good job on that. Different snowstorm than our first snowstorm that we had, but job well done. I did, talking about snow removal, I did receive a letter from Garden City High School. I'd like to read it to everybody. It says, Mayor Cessna, Garden City High School would like to acknowledge and thank the City Public Works Department for their tremendous effort during the snow event in Garden City last Friday and Saturday. Garden City High School is hosting the State Debate Tournament, championship competition for 5 and 6A class debaters from all across Kansas last weekend. The success of this event, an important event, relied on teams and local volunteers being able to leave Garden City High School late Friday evening, arrive at their hotels, and returning to Garden City High School early on Saturday to conclude the tournament. Each team was able to travel our city safely, and all the scheduled events were able to take place. Many positive comments were received from our visitors regarding the condition of our streets despite the snowfall. The completion of this great event simply could not have happened without the dedicated efforts of our city crews. Garden City High School wishes to express to you and our City Council our gratitude for the efforts of the Garden City Public Works Department. Thank you, Steve Nordby, Garden City High School Principal, Drew Tone, Garden City High School Athletics Director, and Russ Tidwell, Garden City High School Debate Coach. And on that, I'd like to welcome Mayor Fankhauser back to the position of being mayor. I know you'll do an outstanding job, and a little rusty at first, but you'll get back into the swing of it.
It's a tough crowd.
I know. I had to throw that in there just to give you a hard time, Mayor. But congratulations.
Thank you. I can't add much to what's already been said, but I will say I've appreciated your year, and I look forward to 2019. And I did want to comment on the snow removal. I have received several comments about it, and I just want to thank Sam, his crew, let them know, you know, it helps when it doesn't freeze the same night that it snows, because that was a real disaster, and there wasn't much to do, and people didn't realize it, but you know, you can't move ice very well. So we've got the airport up and running, and hopefully, I don't know about this weekend, but hopefully we've got all hands on deck. And I wanted to just comment about some of the cooperation between other departments have helped out and jumped in. I mean, you know, there's not much going on at the Buffalo Dunes, and some of those people have helped out, and I appreciate that. Other than that, that's all I have. Anything else? We're adjourned.
All right.
3:08. Yeah, I know.
Dan,
I'm used to it, yes.
do you have a few minutes to chat before you take off?
Yeah.
About DC, so that I can
Yeah,
kind of plan?
I